Some thoughts on the Nolan Arenado situation and the Cardinals, which include some much needed additions to their staff. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter X at JD Sports Radio. You can also follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I do want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and we're available on YouTube. Please stop on by, like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you know when new episodes are posted so you don't miss any of them, because this is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. First and foremost, happy holidays to everyone. I hope you have had a magical and wonderful festive holiday season thus far, but it's time to get back to the grind for a lot of us. Some of you are off until the new year, so congratulations. But for the rest of us, hey, here we are. We're back to work, and the Cardinals technically have been on the clock this entire time. They've been working, still not a whole lot to talk about roster-wise. Not a lot of updates have been given about anything that's happening with Nolan Arenado. Not much to share. I wouldn't expect anything else until after the new year begins. But we know that Nolan turned down that trade with the Astros, which again was his absolute right to do that. He's allowed to do that. He has earned the right to do such things. According to things that I've heard, things that I've read, the no trade clause, just he used it because he wasn't ready to make a move yet. Okay. He wants to see what his market might develop into, what it might look like later on down the road, perhaps after an Alex Bregman signing, before he makes a final decision on whether or not he wants to agree to any trades, which, it makes sense. He wants to see all of his options. He wants to know, all right, these are like, say, the 4 teams that I can go to. All right, what city would I want to move to? Which one, I can understand why he would do it this way. And if he feels like he's not getting what the market is going to be for him, like maybe right now the Cardinals have told him, hey, we've got like 2 teams who are ready to go. And maybe he's like, well, I think it's going to get better than that. I think I'll have more options later on. I don't blame him for waiting. Again, he's earned the right to do that with the no trade clause. Very inconvenient for the Cardinals, who were probably thrilled to have a deal done with the financial compensation that they were comfortable with, agreed upon, and were probably looking forward to moving on to shaping their roster without that salary on their books anymore. And I think all of us fans are a lot like this too. We're all kind of tired of this. I'm sure Nolan is tired of this. He wants to know where his future lies. He wants to know where he's going to go. There's also the fact that returning to the Cardinals is not completely out of the realm of possibilities. If he doesn't find a spot that he wants to go to, he doesn't have to go. He really doesn't. It would be a little bit awkward if he came back, considering how far along things have gotten, where to a point where a trade was agreed to. But we'll continue to wait. We'll see what else transpires. I've been saying that Nano is waiting on Alex Bregman to make a decision, and I never thought about it the other way, that maybe Bregman could be waiting on Nolan Arenado. That's something I hadn't thought about, but his leverage also becomes stronger with teams if they decide to go with Nolan Arenado. If they make a deal and they're like, all right, we'll take Nato, that's another team that gets eliminated, which means there's not as many options available. So, he can be like, look, it's between you guys who wants to overpay for me. And unless he gets an offer he can't refuse, this could drag on for a little bit. So, again, I'm assuming something gets done as soon as the calendar turns over into the new year, but it could drag on. It could drag on. The Cardinals have made some moves. Just doesn't have to do with their roster right now. It was with their staff, more importantly. Very significant, though. Very significant. Not as much fun, obviously, as talking about bidding on free agents or talking about making trades, future Hall of Famers or anything like that. But as this organization resets, they are adding people, personnel, who they believe will help build better players from within, which is the mission right now for the Cardinals. They want to avoid having to pay outrageous money for players who didn't start with the Cardinals. When you bring up your own prospects and stuff, you've got all those arbitration years and, where you're not overpaying. You go out to the free agent market immediately, you're overpaying for somebody, almost guaranteed you're overpaying for that person. And they don't want to do it anymore. And I don't blame them because it hasn't exactly worked. It's not like we're bringing in ring after ring every year and winning championships. It hasn't really worked that way. So they want to develop their own and pay those guys instead. So our buddy Daniel Guerrero at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch broke down the new hires that the Cardinals have made. I want to run through them real quick for you. I mean, we're not going to go into huge background checks on these guys, but I want you to be aware of who these people are and what the Cardinals have done thus far. The moves, according to Guerrero, include the hiring of Ryan Barba as minor league field coordinator, Jose Lager as assistant minor league field coordinator and base running coordinator, Austin Mine as minor league pitching coordinator, and then Ethan Goforth as the minor league catching coordinator. Now, if I butchered some of those names, I apologize. It's not like I'm familiar with those guys, but the Cardinals have not previously had, these hires. They have not had field or base running or catching coordinators at the minor league level, which is absolutely shocking to me. It is absolutely shocking to me that an organization that preaches fundamentals, Cardinal way, does not have people in the minor leagues helping their prospects out with fundamentals. Like, that is mind-blowing to me. And it made me think about like I just got a brand new grill for Christmas for my in-laws. Got us a new grill so I can go out there, we can eat healthier, and I can grill some stuff up. But anyway, it's for the back deck. And to me, it's like putting this whole grill together. All right, I'm going to put this whole thing together using all the big basic pieces, but I'm not going to use all the screws and the nuts and the bolts that are going to keep this thing steady. And sure, you're going to get by for a little bit. It's going to wobble a little bit. And eventually, though, that whole sucker is going to come tumbling down. So you just can't do it that way. And it made me think of the Cardinals not having coordinators in these positions all these years. Like, crazy, right? More from Guerrero's article. Mine is a Wright City High School graduate. He played for St. Louis Community College and Lindenwood University. He's going to take over as the Cardinals minor league pitching coordinator. He says the latest player development staff additions come after the Cardinals brought in Larry Day as the organization's director of player development, Carl Cocken as director of performance, and Matt Pierpont as director of pitching. Legger's move to assistant minor league field coordinator and base running coordinator comes after he spent 4 seasons as manager for the Cardinals Class AA affiliate in Springfield, Missouri. They have not announced who's going to replace him at that level yet. Barba, 40 years old, served as the major league coordinator for the San Diego Padres last season, which we all know has former Cardinal manager Mike Shildt. He was a minor league field coordinator for San Diego in 2022, an assistant field coordinator and infield coordinator during the 2023 season, often played a role in preparing players for pinch hit or pinch run situations while also aiding their first base coach in planning their running game, which is great because I want to see the Cardinals utilize that more and more. I think there's more athleticism on this roster and on this team than was taken advantage of last year. And I run. The rules have made it so you can run. They made it easier for you so that you'll do it more. And it'll, not only will it be good for your offense, but it excites fans. And we all know how things were back in the day when the Cardinals used to run a lot. A lot of fans were out there enjoying those games. Mina is a former Baltimore Orioles minor league coach, worked as the pitching coach for Class AA Bowie in 2024 and Class High A Aberdeen in 2023 before joining the Orioles. Spent just over a year as the director of pitching for Premier Pitching Performance, which is a training facility in Wentzville. And then Goforth is only 27 years old, was previously a player coach in the Pirates organization, worked as a catching and game planning coach for Class High A Greensboro in 2024, managed rookie ball in the Dominican Summer League in 22 and 23, and held a minor league assistant coaching role in 21. And I know all of that is extremely boring, behind the scenes stuff, and it's not that exciting. I get it. But aren't you glad as a Cardinals fan, I know I am, that they are finally taking the plunge and addressing this stuff? Like, things to make their players better players are actually doing it now, getting them the proper coordinators and the proper coaching to teach them the right way so that they are ready when the major leagues call upon them. And perhaps now some of this high-end talent that maybe they didn't think lived up to expectations while they were with the Cardinals and went on to blossom with other organizations will now develop better with the Cardinals, making them what we want them to be, which is a high-powered prospect churning machine. At least that's the dream, right? So I like it. I like that they're doing it. They said they were going to do it, and they're doing it. So good. I do want to take us back to the 2024 roster in today's episode and discuss some of the most overrated and most underrated players that were on the team. We'll get into that next here on Locked On Cardinals. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Because that definitely has happened to me. I had a few subscriptions because you know how it gets. Like, you sign up for things and you're like, I don't, when that first month is done and it's not the free trial anymore, I'll cancel and I'll move on. It doesn't always happen. You forget about that stuff and then you don't realize that you're paying for these things. And Rocket Money makes it very, very easy to just track all these things down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. It helps find and cancel all of these unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and it's going to help you lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. I mean, we got the new year coming up. You just spent all your money on the holidays. Now you got to you want to save it back, right? So that you can do some other things here in 2025, and Rocket Money will help you do that. It brings everything just together all in one place. Makes it very convenient, whether it's subscriptions or your spending habits or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Once again, thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today and every day. You can leave your comments on YouTube as well as on Twitter X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. The Cardinals had, in my opinion, my humble opinion, a solid roster last year. You took a quick glance at what they had going into the season, and clearly there wasn't anything that stood out where oh my gosh, what a team. There wasn't this, these elite players that were there, but it was a solid roster. They ended up with 83 wins. I had predicted 84 wins at the beginning of the season. I felt like they needed one more starting pitcher, top-notch starting pitcher, to really kind of push them into that next level. They didn't get that. They went out and got Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson instead of bucking up for that after bringing in Sonny Gray. So the thing that I take away from last year, though, is that with Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt having crappy years, they'll tell you themselves, it was crappy. It wasn't good. And only getting a half season from Wilson Contreras and still winning 83 games, I take that as a major, major positive for this team and this roster moving forward. Now, we're going to start with the overrated guys, and obvious choices are Arenado and Goldschmidt. We can pick on them all we want. Their names are what kept them relevant while their production dropped off tremendously. We know this. We don't have to revisit this all the time, but easy targets. Let's move on to another name that I don't know if this is going to ruffle feathers or not, but I'm going to go with Lars Nootbaar. Give me some Lars Nootbaar as an overrated player because Lars Nootbaar, I think, and it's partly the Cardinals' fault because I feel like they hyped him up too much. I just really do. I feel like they hyped him up so much that his expectations, at least our expectations of him, I don't think he's ever reached those since they brought him up. And I remember talking about him when he did get called up. And, you know, I was going back on his numbers in the minor leagues and wondering, like, why does everyone think he's going to be so good all of a sudden? Like, what was it that was going to click for him that was going to make him this? I mean, the way the Cardinals made it sound that he was going to be this all-star caliber player day in and day out. Like, I didn't get it. You know, I understand that some of his analytic stuff is really, really good. I get that. But the basic numbers, the stuff that you see on the back of the baseball card, the stuff that we see day in and day out, not the extended advanced numbers, but the normal stuff, the batting average, the home runs, the runs, and so, you know, that stuff, the basic stuff, they were always just kind of like Nootbaar's got a superstar attitude. Don't get me wrong there. I love Lars Nootbaar. I think he's a great guy. But he was never a power hitter. Never hit for high average. So I just never understood why all these monster expectations came about for him, or why he was talked up so much. And even in the World Baseball Classic, I know he's batting leadoff for Team Japan, and they end up winning the gold. And I understand all that, but it's not, you know, Newt had good numbers during that very brief tournament. It's not like this was something that went on for months and months. You know, everybody gets a hot 7-day streak here and there. But it wasn't like he just went bonkers in that tournament and was hitting like 550 or something crazy. No. So I don't know. I just never understood it. I know the injuries have been a problem. They've set him back. But even then, I think Newt is just a good ball player. And I think that's just it. I think that's all we should expect from him. I don't understand why any of us would think that he's going to be any more than he already has shown, where he's going to give you about 250 batting average, 12, 15 home runs, 60 ribbies, and probably play about 115 games. Like, he just has a problem with getting dinged up during the baseball season. It just is what it is. I don't know why we should expect anything more than that. He's a piece of the puzzle that you want to move forward. You can't have superstars at every position. Even the Dodgers got guys that are, you know, pieces of the puzzle, not superstars. But I don't think Lars Nootbaar is the main cog we thought that he might be. So at least by this point, you thought he would be a bigger role in what's going on with things. And it hasn't really happened. So I'm going to give him the overrated tag for 2024. A couple of other names I'll mention as overrated, despite me being a proponent of both of them, major proponents of both of them. This team is going to need them in a major way next year, and that's Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman. And it's very, very hard for me to be down on these guys because, you know, they're young players, specifically Walker, because I'm not down on them, really. It's just when you get the billing as the top hitting prospect in baseball, and 2 years later, you still haven't solidified your spot at the major league level and at the major league or on the major league roster, that's bad. That's not great, you know? And I know it's not easy to live up to those expectations, but that's where he was supposed to be by now. And here we are. And we're hoping for great things coming up in 2025. I have all the belief in the world that this upcoming season, now that Jordan's got, you know, this defined role, a little less pressure because there's not as much fear of being sent down again, because they want the young guys to go through the trials and tribulations of the season. Just because you have a bad 2 weeks doesn't mean you're going to get shipped to Memphis like you are. They're like saying, you're here. This is your spot. Right field is yours. Okay? Do your thing. And they're going to keep him out there too, by the way. Contreras is going to get first. And from what I heard, Nolan Gorman is going to be your third baseman next year if and when a deal with Nolan Arenado is done. But I'm looking forward to what I want out of Walker is just to be be confident, be more confident, and just play loose, man. Go out there and have some fun. When you get around guys that are your age, you feel a little more comfortable and you play a little bit better, a little bit more loose. And now that they've kind of shaved some of these veterans off, it's going to be a younger vibe in the locker room and in the clubhouse. So I think that's good. I think that might help these guys. Gorman, he's a little bit a different story because he's had almost double the games and plate appearances at the major league level than Jordan has already. And again, he got sit down last year after his struggles, but another top prospect coming up, and he just hasn't figured it out and doesn't. How to be more consistent at the major league level is really the problem for Gorman. We know we can do it, but also a guy like I didn't give up on this guy. I'm going to die on this Nolan Gorman hill, I think, at some point, but hopefully same ways that I feel about Walker, more defined role. If Nato gets moved, you are this third baseman. Okay. You're not the second baseman with Donovan lurking in the background, trying to take, maybe taking that spot. You are our third baseman. All right. You're the guy, and this is where you're going to be. And you're going to be hitting in the meat of this order, and we believe in you. Ups and downs, we're there with you. So keep your head up. A lot less pressure. We'll see if he can unlock the consistency to be the 35, 40 home run a year type of hitter at the major league level that you've seen glimpses of. You've seen flashes of where you're like, dude, this guy's just ungodly power. But again, high prospect billing has been sent down every year that he's been up on this team. A little bit overrated so far in his big league career. I'll also throw this one at you just for fun, just to kind of get everybody talking. What about Ryan Helsley is overrated? Incredible season. Let me explain. Incredible season. Breaks the save record, obviously, for the Cardinals. Wins the NL Reliever of the Year award. But for those of you who watch day in and day out, and I'm sure you're one of the everydayers because you're listening to a Cardinals podcast at the end of December, so you watch almost all the games too. How many times did Helsley come out of that bullpen and into a game, and you were, without a doubt, supremely confident that Ryan Helsley was going to finish that game and you were going to win comfortably? I mean, he's really good. Don't get me wrong. But there was a lot of times that he would come out of that door would swing open and he'd come out and I'm like, all right. Here we go, Ryan. This is what I need from you. Just throw strikes, trust your fastball. Like, it was almost like, oh my gosh, can he pull through? And then I just feel like, when you have a closer that's supposed to be one of the best in baseball, that you don't feel so stressed when they come out, like, I know Mariano Rivera is one of the greatest of all time, but you think the Yankees were nervous when Rivera would come in the game? No, you figured it was over, And think about today's guys. Let me just put this out there for you. If you had a choice, okay, and you could pick any reliever in the league to close out a game, you get the whole league to choose from. At what point are you choosing Ryan Helsley? Are you choosing him first? Or are you taking him after guys like Devin Williams or Josh Hader or Emmanuel Clase or Edwin Diaz or Mason Miller, Johan Duran in Minnesota, Robert Suarez, San Diego, Andres Munoz in Seattle, some guys with filthy, nasty stuff. Where in the mix there are you taking Helsley? Because after all the accolades he got this year, if he's not top 3, does that make him overrated? Food for thought. Think about it. I also know some people are going to say Sonny Gray is overrated, but I think Sonny did what I expected him to do this year. The home runs went up. Did not see that coming, where it was going to be that many home runs that he gave up. But outside of that, this is what I expected. I wasn't expecting him to be quite at the level he was last year or the previous year with Minnesota. So I feel like he was pretty on par with what I expected. But some people will say overrated for Sonny Gray. But tell me who you think is overrated in the comments section down below. We'll talk about some underrated players coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. Not only can you bet on which players are going to score a touchdown and how many points each team will score, but you can also build parlays, which are a lot of fun. They're stressful, but they're a lot of fun to build the parlay, and that can really improve your return if you end up hitting those. They pay out nicely. Thursday Night Football tonight, the Seahawks at the Bears. Keenan Allen has been on an absolute tear for the Chicago Bears recently. In my 2 fantasy championships that finished up this past week, I had him on one team and was going up against him in the other league, and won in the one that I had him on my team and lost on the one that I was going up against him. He is a guy that has just been on fire with Caleb Williams about the last month, really. So he's the one to keep an eye on for tonight's bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on all things Major League Baseball during this off season. It is available on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. So who are some players that don't quite get the love maybe that they deserve on this Cardinals roster? I think there's only one place to really start with, because I think people in St. Louis love him, and I don't think he's underrated in the St. Louis market. But outside of St. Louis, you'd be hard-pressed to find a lot of people talking about this guy, and that is Brendan Donovan. My man, there he is. Cool hair, cool smile, fun personality, Mr. Consistency. Outside of stealing bases, the guy does almost everything that you'd want a ball player to do and be. Among qualified hitters on the team this past year, 278 average, led the team, 14 home runs, 73 ribbies, second on the team, 34 doubles, tops on the team, second in walks, first in OBP, second in slugging, first in OPS, second in batting average with runners in scoring position, a place that the whole team pretty much struggled outside of him and Alec Burleson and Wilson Contreras when he was healthy. OPS plus of 112. And I don't think anybody talks about this guy outside of St. Louis. They don't even know who the hell he is, which is sad. But hey, good for the Cardinals because we love him. Of course, defensively, Brendan Donovan, an elite utility player. Let me get you a picture of him sliding here. Look at the hair. That's my dude right there. That's a ball player I want to be friends with. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what position he plays. You had him in left field this year, right field for a little bit, second base, third base. He's got you covered. You can trust him anywhere you put him. Committed only 2 errors this past season, 1 at second, 1 at third, none in the outfield. Oh, and if you don't love him after all that, makes less than $1 million a year. Made $757,200 to be exact this past year. So on a team that had much bigger names, much bigger salaries, and of course you had prospects who were supposed to be all that and then some, Donnie was better than everybody. Donnie was better than everybody this year. So certainly underrated outside of St. Louis. Again, in the market, we all know and love him. Outside the market, extremely underrated. Kyle Gibson is a name that I'll say was underrated this year, in my opinion, as well. Doesn't look like he's going to be back next year unless some trades are made, which is still a possibility. But outside of like 5 starts last year, Kyle Gibson was as dependable as you could get. He had 30 more starts again this year, which was the 4th straight season that he's made 30 or more starts, which is really tough to do in this day and age. He's not an elite pitcher by any means, but I'll tell you that I'd rather have him over Michaelis or Matz. And it sucks that at this moment, he's not on this roster and those 2 guys are. That sucks because you're not really putting together your best roster when you've got him as a free agent who, as far as I can tell, would love to pitch in St. Louis again. Loved being a Cardinal. And you got those two guys on the roster instead. That sucks. That's not good. But I don't know. Maybe something gets done, and we get Kyle Gibson back. I would put Mason Wynn on this list because I think he got passed over. Again, not underrated in St. Louis, but I think he got passed over by much of the league because he plays for the Cardinals. Because if that dude was a rookie doing what he did this year, but was doing it in a major market, if he was doing it in New York or LA or Chicago or Boston or, any of the teams that, Major League Baseball kisses their butts, they'd be drooling over this guy and his skill set. Everything you want in a ball player. He's got the look. He's got, the ability to hit for average if you need him to. He's got pop. He's got speed. He's got the cannon arm. I almost could have won a Gold Glove this year. He was right up there. Dude's got it all and is, in my opinion, the future face of this franchise. He has passed up Jordan Walker. And maybe Jordan catches up to him. That'd be great to have them both kicking butt. They're best friends. Why not? That'd be great. A little Batman and Robin thing going on there. That'd be cool. But I can't wait to see him in year 2. I'm very excited about that. Also, shout out to Alec Burleson, underrated as well. A very quiet 269, 21 home runs, and 78 RBIs this past season. Needs to be better against lefties so he can be an everyday player because it's hard to keep him in the lineup when you're going to hit like 100 against left-handers. That sucks. But he mashes righties. No doubt about that. So it was very impressive in his second year in the big leagues. And I hope he's able to carve out a role as the DH or however they're going to get him at bats because they need to, specifically against right-handers. He's got to be in there each and every time. Let me know. What do you guys think? Any other underrated or overrated players that I failed to mention in this one? You want to get some angst out and rip on some people? Go for it. That's what we're here for. Real quick before we get out of here, happy birthday to my all-time favorite St. Louis Cardinal. I got him on my wall over here. You can't see him, though, at the moment because he is locked onto this wall. But Ozzie Smith turns 70 years old today. The Wizard. As a kid, I used to watch his movie, Ozzie the movie, VHS cassette tape over and over and over. I'd have it on in the living room, and then our kitchen was over here, and there was this white blank wall area, and I used to throw a racquetball up against it and just mimic all of the Ozzie Smith moves that I could do. Could never do a backflip at any point in my life, but he was amazing, dude. If you've never seen highlights of him, the picks, the quickness, just how smooth he was, the dives, the accuracy, how quick he would dive and pop up to be able to make the throw. Because not like he didn't have like a Mason Wynn type of arm or anything like that, but he was very quick. The release, got rid of it so fast. Switch hitter, ran the bases really well. Speed, colorful guy, was always laughing and having a good time. Loved everything about Ozzie Smith. Still do. So happy birthday to my favorite St. Louis Cardinal. Happy 70th to Ozzie Smith. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter, X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube, help our channel, and love for the St. Louis Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I will catch you next time on Locked On Cardinals. Happy holidays.